So now that we have looked at schema theory and models of memory, we will be moving into the next topic, which is the reliability of memory. Here the big question is whether memory is reliable. A lot of the times we assume that memory is kind of like a snapshot of everything that we've experienced, but is this truly the case? Or are there distortions and reconstructions that make our memory not necessarily as accurate as we think that they are? So here's a quick video.
So what do we do now? Sit here and wait for him to come back?
Just moved in. What? Floor above, new label.
Could have just replaced it.
No one ever does that.
Hello?
Hi, I live in the flat just below you. I don't think we've met.
No, well, I've just moved in.
Actually, I've just locked my keys in my flat.
You want me to buzz you in?
Yeah, and can I use your balcony?
What?
Sherlock! Sherlock, you okay? Yeah, anytime you feel like letting me in. Do you think he lost a lot of money? I mean, suicide is pretty common among city boys.
I don't know that it was suicide.
Come on. Door was locked from the inside. You had to climb down the balcony.
Been away 3 days, judging by the laundry. Look at the case. There was something tightly packed inside it.
Thanks, I'll take your word for it.
Problem?
Yeah, I'm not desperate to root around some bloke's dirty underwear.
Those symbols at the bank, the graffiti, why were they put there?
Some sort of code?
Obviously.
Why were they painted? Want to communicate by not using them? Well, maybe he wasn't answering.
How could you follow?
Nope. What kind of a message would everyone try to avoid?
What about this morning? Those letters you were looking at?
Bills.
Yes. He was being threatened.
Bag this up here and
Not with a gas board.
get prints off this glass.
Sergeant. Go with that.
Yeah, I know who you are, and I'd prefer it if you didn't tamper with any of the evidence.
I phoned Lestrade. Is he on his way?
He's busy. I'm in charge. And it's not Sergeant, it's Detective Inspector Dimmock. We're obviously looking at a suicide.
It does seem the only explanation of all the facts.
Wrong. It's one possible explanation of some of the facts. You've got a solution that you like, but you're choosing to ignore anything you see that doesn't comply with it.
Like?
The wound's on the right side of his head.
And?
Bancoon was left-handed. Requires quite a bit of contortion.
Left-handed?
I'm amazed you didn't notice. All you have to do is look around this flat. Coffee table on the left-hand side, coffee mug handle pointing to the left. Power sockets habitually use the ones on the left. Pen and paper on the left-hand side of the phone because he picked it up with his right and took down messages with his left. You want me to go on?
No, I think you've covered
I
it.
might as well. I'm almost at the bottom of the list. There's a knife on the breadboard with butter on the right side of the blade. Because he used it with his left, it's highly unlikely that a left-handed man would shoot himself in the right side of his head. Conclusion, someone broke in here and murdered him. Only explanation of all the facts.
But the gun,
He was waiting for the killer. He'd been threatened.
So as we know that as cognitive misers, we have the tendency to miss out on information and have biases with what we pay attention to. The way that we perceive and store information is also quite subjective to our past experiences. Unfortunately, we are not able to reason the way that Sherlock Holmes does at all point in time, and definitely do not have a hyperactive mind palace. Despite this, eyewitness testimonies, which are of people, common people like you and I, play a very key role in the decision that the court makes amongst other evidence, to either prove that a person is guilty or not guilty. And thousands of innocent people have been wrongly convicted based on faulty eyewitness testimonies. And this very statistic, or this very flaw, is what has cropped a lot of research in really trying to answer whether memory is truly reliable. Okay, and it is with this that we will be starting the unit with an activity which you will be doing in groups. I will be providing each group with one case of a client who has been wrongly accused of a crime, and you need to work on a group as a group to prove that this client is not guilty. Okay, so you're going to tap into your understanding of memory, of schemas, of biases, of how framing can affect the way we make decisions, of stereotypes, even maybe some biological factors, okay, to really understand the details of your case, and then again go into trying to prove that your client is not guilty. So you will work on first discussing possible reasons why there are flaws in what has been presented in the case, okay? Just like in the movie that we watched, 12 Angry Men, except that you will be the lawyer, okay? You are a team of lawyers and researchers who are trying to support and prove this client is not guilty, okay? So once you've discussed possible reasons, you will come up with a defense statement as a lawyer, okay? And you will also have the freedom to choose one researcher who will support your argument, okay? If you think that there was a decay and the person was not paying attention to the eyewitness testimony, was not paying attention to your client, you can use Atkinson and Sheffrin and say that, you know, there was no rehearsal and it could not be encoded into the long-term memory. So basically what your researcher is going to do is going to present the case and apply their research or their theory to the case in support of your client. Okay, and all of this will be decided in today's class. What will happen in the next class is that we will all as a class get on a Zoom call. I expect everyone to be on time on Friday, no being late, because this has to start right at the beginning of class. What's going to happen is I'm going to choose one group that will go first, okay, and then second, third, fourth. Person one from the group will read out the case to the rest of the group or the class. Person two will present the defense statement, which is basically the explanation of why your client is not guilty. Okay, then we will call person three, which is the person who's going to role play the researcher, and they will basically go over their research and how that applies to the current case and to your client. And then finally, there will be the fourth person who will do a closing statement, which basically summarizes or concludes the defense statement in relation to the research evidence that the person has provided. Okay, so this will be the flow, and based on feedback, I know, and I've also observed this, I've noticed that sometimes not everyone is working the same amount in groups, and because of this, what I will be doing for this lesson is I will be choosing who plays person 1, 2, 3, 4 at the end of class today. Okay, this then means that each and every one of you in the group needs to put in equal effort into working on this case, okay, and working on figuring out a defense statement and working out on who should be the researcher that supports your defense, okay? And it will only be at the end of class today that I will tell you that you will be playing person 1, you will be playing person 3, you'll be playing person 4, and at the beginning of class next week, on Friday, you will have to present. Okay, so everyone needs to put an equal effort into this activity. I'm doing these activities so that we don't have to just stick to preparing just for IB exams, and I'm hoping that you will be able to apply what you're learning to real life situations and case studies such as these. Okay, so I will be looking at your groups and I will be monitoring that. I expect all discussions to happen on Teams because I won't be able to monitor your discussions on WeChat. Okay, so you will have the rest of class for this. I will provide you the case studies right after this video.